Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. In today's video, I'll share with you how to draft and cut a Princess Dart Bustier with a symmetric neckline and a stylish hemline. It's going to be easy to follow, beginners friendly tutorial. And if you've not subscribed yet, please subscribe. Come with me and let's get started. These are the materials I'll need for this work: the pattern paper, French curve, tape rule, masking tape, straight ruler, marker, and also my scissors. I'll go ahead and keep these materials aside. Then I'll come to the tip of this pattern paper and come down by 1 inch. At that 1 inch, I'll draw a straight line. This straight line now will serve as the starting line and also the shoulder line. After that, I'll place my tape on this shoulder line and mark my measurement. I'll mark my shoulder to bust 11 inches, shoulder to under bust 14, shoulder to waist 16, and shoulder to hip line 25 inches. Now that I have all of this measurement, I'll go ahead and mark each of these measurements with a straight line. This hip line is my normal full blouse length. So you place your tape from your shoulder down to where you're most comfortable for your full blouse length. Now that I'm done marking the lines, I'll go ahead and label each of this line. This first line is the shoulder line. This is the bust. This one is the under bust. While this one is the waist. And this one is the hip line. I call it the hip line because it's not our full blouse length yet. You place your tape from your shoulder to the fullest part of your bust, to your under bust, to your waist, and to your basic body's length. And for me, my basic body's length is my hip line. Now at this hip line, I'll place my tape from this hip and come down by 5 inches. This will be our full blouse length. So after I mark this 5 inches, I'll draw a straight line on it to mark, and I'll go ahead and label it full length. The next thing I'll do now is to take my dart. In order to do that, I'll use my bust span measurement divided by 2. My bust span measurement is 8 inches. 8 inches divided by 2 will give me 4 inches. So I'm going to take this 4 inches mark on the bust, under bust, waistline, hip line, and the full blouse length. So I'll go ahead now and connect from the bust line, drawing a straight line down to the full blouse length. Now I'll come to the center front and come out 0.5 inch at the under bust and also at the waistline. I also come to the side front and come out by 2 inches on the under bust and also at the waistline. I'll then come to the bust line and come down 0.5 inch. And at the hip line, I'll come up 2 inches. Then I'll mark. After that is done, I'll connect from the under bust down to that 2 inches. Then at the side too, I'll connect down to the 2 inches. So you can just watch how I go about it so I'll be able to do yours the same way. I came down 0.5 inch from the bust line. Then I'll connect from the 0.5 inch down to the under bust at the center front. I will then use the French curve to connect from the 0.5 inch down to the under bust at the side front. The next thing I'm going to do now is to place my tape on my shoulder line to take my shoulder measurement, and the shoulder measurement is 16 inches divided by 2 will give me 8 inches. So I'll mark the 8 inches. Then I'll also take the neck width of 4 inches. At that shoulder measurement, I'll come down by 1 inch to take the shoulder slope. Then I'll connect from the neck width down to the shoulder slope. I'll place my tape from the shoulder slope to take my armhole measurement. I'll be using my shoulder measurement divided by 2, which is 8 inches. You can also use your bust circumference divided by 6 plus 1.5 inch. So I'll mark the 8 inches at that point. Then I'll place my tape across this way to measure my 8 inches. This is for me to be sure that I'll be drawing a straight line. So I'll then connect from the shoulder slope now down to the 8 inches. After that is done, I'll draw a straight line under this armhole line. This will be the chest line. Now that I have my chest line, the next thing I'll do now is to create my armhole. In order to do that, I'll place my tape on this armhole line and mark the midpoint. The next thing I'm going to do now is to get my chest line measurement. In order to do that, I'll place my tape across and I'll impute my bust circumference divided by 4 on this chest line. And once I'm done with that, I'll come to the midpoint of this armhole now and come out by 0.5. After that, I'll connect from the shoulder slope to the midpoint, from that point to the chest line measurement. Now that my armhole is ready, the next thing I'm going to do now is to take my Princess Dart. And in order to do that, I'll look for the midpoint of this round armhole curve now. And after measuring, you can see the way I place my tape. After measuring, I got 9 inches. So I'm going to look for the midpoint of that 9 inches, which will give me 4.5 inches. I'll mark the 4.5 inches. Then I'll connect from that 4.5 down to my dart line. Now that I'm done with that, the next thing I'm going to do, I'll come to this armhole and come down 0.75 from this midpoint. Then I'll also go up from that midpoint by 0.75. Once I'm done with that, I'll connect from that point, the 0.75 at the armhole, down to my bust line. And I also do the same thing at the 0.75 above the midpoint at the other side. Now while I'm doing this, I'm going to make sure that there is no pointy effect at the bust line. And you can see what mine look like, and this is what yours should look like also. I'll place my French curve at this bust point and create a nice curve so that there will be no pointy effect there. Now that I'm done with that, the next thing I'm going to do is to replace the dart that I took, and 0.75 plus 0.75 give me 1.5 inches. So I'll extend the 1.5 inches by this last line that I have there. Then I'll also replace the 1.5 inches at the armhole. Then I'll connect the 1.5 inches at the armhole down to the 1.5 inches at the chest line, creating my new armhole. I hope you understand all the process we've done so far. If you have any question, you can drop it for me on the comment section. I'll be right there to answer them. The next thing I'm going to do now is to impute my brown body's measurement. I impute my bust circumference divided by 4 on the bust line. At the under bust, I impute the under bust circumference divided by 4. Then at the waistline, I impute the waist circumference divided by 4. After that, I came to the hip line and impute the hip circumference divided by 4. Then I came to the armhole and I added 2 inches for sewing allowance. At the bust line, I added 1.5 inches for the armhole dart. At the under bust, I replaced the dart intake that I took. I measured and I have about 2 inches. So I'm going to replace the 2 inches. And I also added 2 inches for sewing allowance there. At this waistline, I'll replace the dart allowance that I took also. Then I'll add 2 inches sewing allowance. At this hip line, I'll add 2 inches sewing allowance. So I'll place my tape on this hip line and measure whatever I have. Then I'll mark that on the full blouse length. At this bust line, I'll also add 2 inches sewing allowance. I'll go ahead now and connect all the measurements. Please watch how I connect it so that you'll be able to connect yours the same way. Before I continue, I'll first of all cut out this extra parts around the bodies that I don't need. The next thing I'm going to do now is to draft my neckline. In order to do that, I'm going to open up my pattern this way. Then I'll mark the midpoint of. After that, from that midpoint, I'll go out towards this side by 4 inches. Then I'll come to this other side from the midpoint. Then I'll mark 5 inches. Once that is done, I'll place my tape from this 4 inches here and I'll come down by 6 inches for my neck depth. Then I'll connect from that 4 inches down to the 6 inches. Once that is done, I'll connect from this 5 inches here down to the 6 inches neck depth. This asymmetric neckline can be curvy and can also be straight. So it all depends on how you want it. So I'll go ahead now and cut out the neckline. And this is what I have after cutting. After that, I'll close up the pattern and cut out the dart area. After I separate the center front from the side front, I'll go ahead and pin it down before I cut. And after cutting, this is what I have. So I'll go ahead and open it up for us to see what it looks like. The next thing I'm going to do now is to work on the asymmetric hemline. And to do that, I arrange my pattern and make sure that they all align. I'll make sure that my pattern is properly placed and equal this way. Then I use my tape to hold it down. So I'll start from this side now. At this full blouse length at the hip line, I'll come in by 2 inches. Then I'll place my tape from the under bust, this point here. Then I'll place my tape and come down by 6 inches. I'll go ahead and connect from the 6 inches mark to the 2 inches. I use my curve rule to create a nice curve connecting from the 6 inches down to the 2 inches. If you notice, I went up by 1 inch by the side at first, but there'll be no need for it. That's why I didn't show you that part. So I'll go ahead and work on the other side. In order to do that, I'll come up from the full blouse length by 5 inches to mark my hip line. I'm doing that because this side of the pattern is plain. There's no line on it, so I'll have to draw that line so that we'll know what we are doing. So this is my hip line, and I'll come to this center front now and mark the midpoint of the center front. Then I'll pick the side front from this side this way and close up the dart. Then I'll connect from that 6 inches mark there down to the midpoint I marked at the center front. And this is what it looks like. Now that I'm done with this side, I'll come to this second side now and connect from this hip line down to the midpoint at the center front. I tried using my ruler, but it wasn't up to the length, so I decided to use my curve rule. And this is what I have. So I'll go ahead now and cut it out for us to see what it looks like. And if you've watched to this point, thank you very much. Don't go anywhere because I'll be showing you how to draft the back bodice. And after cutting, this is what it looks like. And just in case you're wondering how to join it, you place this side from the tip of the pattern this way and you stitch all the way into the armhole. Then this other side, you will place it this way. Place this side from this point, this 6 inches mark. Then you stitch it all the way into the armhole. And this is what it should look like after joining. And if you want a detailed tutorial on how to sew this, let me know in the comment section by dropping sewing tutorial. This is my pattern for the back bodice, and I've gone ahead to take out some measurements already so that this video will not be too long. This is my zipper allowance and I mark out 2 inches for this. And this is my shoulder line. I came down by 1 inch to mark the shoulder line. This is the bust line, the under bust, the waist, the hip line, which is going to be the full blouse length for the back bodice. If you remember, I told you that the hip line is the usual full blouse length you use for your blouse. So just place your tape from your shoulder down to where you are most comfortable with your blouse length. So now any measurement I'm going to input is going to be from this zipper allowance. So now I'm going to input my shoulder measurement divided by 2, which is 8 inches. I'll place it from the zipper allowance to mark that. Then I'll also take my neck width of 4 inches, which is going to be the same as the front neck width. Then I'll come down 1 inch from that shoulder measurement to create the shoulder slope. I'll then connect from that neck width down to the shoulder slope. So I'll go ahead now and create the armhole. I'll place my tape from that shoulder slope and come down by 8 inches. That is my shoulder measurement divided by 2. Then I'll place my tape across this way again to mark the 8 inches to make sure that I'm going to be drawing a straight line. So I'll connect from the shoulder slope down to the 8 inches now. So I'll go ahead now and draw a straight line underneath this 8 inches. And this line underneath the 8 inches is the chest line. The next thing I'm going to do, I'll place my tape across this chest line this way and impute the bust measurement divided by 4. Also place my tape across this armhole line, mark the midpoint. I was about to mark the midpoint, I realized that the chest line I drew is not straight, so I'm going to draw another line again. So I'll go ahead now and mark the midpoint of the armhole. Now that I'm done with that, I'll connect from this midpoint down to the chest line measurement, creating my armhole. The next thing I'll do is to take my back neckline. I'll place my tape from the shoulder line this way and come down by 1.5 inch. Then I'll connect from my neck width down to the 1.5, then extend it into the zipper allowance. After that is done, I'll take my dart. In order to do that, I'll divide my bust band measurement divided by 2 and I'll mark 4 inches on each of this line down to the full blouse length. Then I'll connect. The next thing I'm going to do now is to take my dart. I'll come to my bust line and come down by 1 inch. Then I'll come to my full blouse length, which is my hip line, and come up by 2 inches. Then at the waistline, I'll come out by 0.5 inch on each side of the line. Then I'll connect from that 1 inch down to the 0.5 inch on each side of the line. Then from that 0.5 inch, I'll connect it down to the 2 inches above the full blouse length. The next thing I'm going to do now is to impute my round bodice measurement. At the bust line, I will impute the bust measurement divided by 4. At the under bust, I will also impute the under bust measurement divided by 4. At the waist, I will impute the round waist measurement divided by 4. Then I'll come to the hip measurement and impute the round hip measurement divided by 4. With that allowance here, I'll replace it. At the waistline, I'll also measure what I have at the waist and also replace it. I'll also come to the armhole and impute 2 inches sewing allowance. I'll do the same thing on all the lines. After that is done, I'll connect all my measurements. And this is all if you want to use a basic back bodice. And if you want to have a princess seam at the back, you go up by 1.5 from the midpoint of the armhole. After I mark that, I'll now connect from that 1.5 now down to my bust line. The next thing I'll do, I'll come to my waistline and come in by 0.5 inch. Then I'll connect from the hip line up to that 0.5 inch. I will now extend the 0.5 inch up this way. So when I'm cutting, I'll be cutting out this 0.5 inch. So that is all for the back bodice. The next thing I'll do now is to cut it out for us to see what it looks like. And please don't forget to subscribe and hit the like button, and let me know your thoughts in the comment section. And if you'll be using a basic bodice, this is what the basic bodice looks like. But if you want to use a princess seam, I'll go ahead now and cut that part out. And after cutting, this is what I have. This is the back bodice and this is the front bodice. I'll drop a detailed tutorial on how to cut and sew a Princess Dart Bustier, just in case you want to learn how to sew this. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe for more. See you in my next video.